Okay, this will be for candidate bridges. Give specific examples of what kind of legislation or projects you intend to work on in the next year.
Well, I'm not sure as a city council person that we're working on legislation. We certainly can influence things by lobbying and using the Chamber of Commerce and other lobbying groups to influence what goes on in Sacramento. But as far as projects are concerned, I think one of the major projects is to get a really good funding instrument for the parks. I think that is terribly important. Other projects, I think we need to take care of our natural resources that can be a great attraction to people. The parks certainly are, but I think the trail system, there are lots of opportunities to expand the connectivity of the trail system up into the National Forest and also to our neighboring communities. I think that can be a tremendous draw for people from outside the community as well as for the community itself. Again, that we would hope that we would draw people in and that they would also draw tax dollars in. And so I think that those things are very important. I would like to see road repairs done properly. I have some really serious concerns about the quality control of some of the things that have been done. And I think we need to do greater due diligence and quality control when we allow people to come in and do projects in the city.
Well, if I'm reelected, I plan to continue to stay on the subcommittees I'm on and continue serving the community through that. Legislation, we support through the regional organizations we're involved with as a city, we support legislation. And sometimes we write letters of support for legislation if we're asked on the city council, but we don't take it to Sacramento. The things that I talked about during my initial campaign have not come to fruition, and part of it is, well, we can do it later, and part of it's we don't have a lot of money. So I think these things are still vitally important, and I will continue to push for them because they will affect our long-term economic viability, and that is the design guidelines, the visioning concepts, the general plan update, and effective code enforcement. And may not be able to do it to the full extent that we want to, and it may take a little longer, but these things are absolutely vital. And like I said, we're getting a new planning director, and I think we'll be able to get these things done. As I said, it may take longer, but if the rest of the council is supportive, we can do this, and it will behoove our community to do so.
As far as legislature, one thing I think that we could use is a bigger redevelopment agency or redevelopment zone. I do believe that takes a legislative act to make that happen. And right now we have a little sliver of one up by Lakeside or Lakeview. And it's not enough. We need more. We need more the state stuff that's out there that can help us to come down on this. And that takes an active legislative community to do that, and being involved with the assembly members and the Senate members in the area. And we know that when there's something up there that we want, that we can actively knock on their doors and talk to them. And we need to be involved with those people, because obviously their stuff affects us, like SB 32. And they need to know what the cities are thinking. So it's more than writing letters, it's knowing those people and knowing that when something's coming through to let them know what the cities are thinking. One of my big goals will be responsible growth, where we can have some commercial growth to widen our tax base. And without that, we're going to continue to think of a lot of great ideas and not have the money to do them and have to push them off further and further. And we'll get stuck up against a wall that says you have to do it now and have to do it haphazardly. And I hope that we can continue to grow the commercial base in Wilkes-Barre so we can do those things now rather than later.
I think while working with SCAG and WRCOG, we do have a working relationship in representation when legislation comes down that will affect our citizens' bottom line. And we will be working on our general plan update, and I'm hoping that we will open that up to the community. But those are my main things. We do need to start working on planning a budget item for those upcoming line items that are coming through on a decreased budget each year. So live within our budget, and let's see what happens.
I've been very involved legislatively with the state of California through my Realtor Association for many, many years. Served on land use to environmental. We looked at every law that came before the state that would affect your private property rights, your rights to own property, to do with it as you want to do with it. We looked at some of the environmental things that came, and we decided then if we were going to support them, oppose them, and we actually had some money to do that. As a city, we have some of those kind of groups here too. SCAG and WRCOG, the League of Cities. The League of Cities has put a huge push on Proposition 22. I was going to save a little bit of this for my closing statement, but Proposition 22 stops the state from raiding the city's funds. They can come in and step and take redevelopment money. They can take other funds right out of your budget without asking. And they call it a loan, but who knows when they're going to pay it back. So if we don't stay active legislatively with everything that goes on in our state, we're not going to get anything done, and they'll run right over us. And that's happened a lot lately. I'm also going to be very active in getting community volunteers. That's one of my pet projects. The farm already has a great volunteer patrol service. If we think we need more policemen, these are free. They have a car. It's a little bit of an expense there, but these men and women volunteer on a daily basis to patrol the farm and to keep it safe. We have a posse that is called like Elsinore, but we could always call it Wildemar. I know they train in Wildemar because I watch them all the time right down the street. Volunteers again. Our library, our friends in the library, is volunteers. This is a community of volunteers. We have a volunteer fire department still. So I would like to see all of those things get back on track, keep them working, keep the costs down by letting you guys all participate in your city and your government.
Legislation-wise, we don't have a whole lot of control on what the state's going to do unless we're part of those leagues, the city leagues and everything. So that has to keep pushing forward. Some of the things in the area, we have to be business friendly. You have to have the businesses come in here in order to support the tax base. There's no other way to do it here. People that own the property, we're already overburdened with our property taxes. We can't afford anymore. I'm just one of those people that are out there. And it's going to be critical, and I'm going to be pushing. I'm going to try to help push companies and people that I even know that would be willing to come into Wildemar, start a business, whatever, but it has to be friendly. One of the other issues is, which nobody ever likes to talk about, and it's the big elephant in the room, is the term limits. I'm all for term limits because I watched, being here so long, I watched what happened to Lake Elsinore. I watched them lose their big mall, the Promenade. It was on its way in, but the knuckleheads down in City Hall, they were there forever, they've been there forever, and they finally have pushed some of them out. Some of them died, thank God, and they've actually opened up some, yeah, well, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. I mean, they were ruining the city. And I was part of Elsinore before we were Wildemar. We were still considered Elsinore. And it was very frustrating to see all the development go right past us down the freeway to Temecula. And it was sickening to watch. So one of the things is, you need to have a certain amount of time you can be in the city, and then, boop, you're out. Let somebody else do it. So I'm for that.